On the outskirts of Dubuque, Iowa, surrounded by vast fields and wooded areas, is a religious community that upholds a way of life that has been followed since the early Middle Ages, the Trappist monks of New Melleray Abbey. The Cistercian monastic life began nearly 1,000 years ago and follows the rule of Saint Benedict. The brothers actively live this discipline, which focuses their day around work, prayer, and reading.
The search for God is at the heart of monastic life. St. Augustine has said that our hearts are restless until they rest in you. And I think this is what draws the monk to the monastery. When I had to fill out a questionnaire, why do I want to become a monk? My response was, I want to know and to love God, and to know Him not just about Him, but as a friend. That was my main reason for becoming a monk.
The idea of simplicity, it's crazy how you think of these things, but I thought of jumping off the tractor and going in the church. And, manual labor appealed to me. And just the simplicity of the monastic life without any additions. No parishes, no schools, just the prayer life and the monastic life.
If I join, I basically know what I'm going to be doing 20 years from now on a Friday. For me, I really like the monastic lifestyle as far as the schedule goes because it does provide structure. There is a structuring, we have vigils at 3:30 every day. But then you have these periods of free time. Vigils usually ends about 4:15, and from 4:15 to 6:30, you have free time. If you want to go walk in the woods and pray, you can. If you would like to do Lectio Divina and read, you can. If you would like to get breakfast, you can. And so for me, I like that you have this framework that's very concrete, but then within that, you have this great spontaneity.
Manual labor is the counterpart to the many hours of contemplation and meditation in the Abbey.
Work is a great balance for our style of life. The contemplative life has a lot of quiet time, a lot of what we call Lectio Divina, which is prayerful reading, which are sort of sedentary type of things. And to balance that with some sort of exertion of manual labor is almost essential.
Many of the monks work at Trappist caskets, which is their primary means of support.
No, I never saw myself as an assembly line worker before I entered. But it does work well with the spirituality since the work's detail-oriented enough and complicated enough that it keeps me interested, but not so complicated I can't pray while I'm doing it.
In the caskets, I assemble mostly the pine caskets. I'm very pleased and happy and enjoy the life.
For contemplative life, you don't look for, do they know how to pray? We can teach them that. Or do they know how to work? We can teach them that too. Is do they know how to get along with people? Because it's a community life.
I know people think that would be so hard to do that if you give up to do that. Well, no, when you're in the environment and in the routine and the patterns, you're living on maybe a slightly different level, but those things are no longer important. You don't even miss them.
It's interesting. You think that somebody joining the Trappists, he's going to be lost to the family from then on. And just the opposite happened, because families today are very mobile. They don't stay in one place very long. But the one thing that stayed stable in my family's life was Stephen being here in the monastery. My little nieces and nephews grew up coming to the monastery to visit their uncle. And one of them, who turned 40, said to me one day, he said, "Uncle Steve," he says, "you're the only thing in my life that hasn't changed."
Contrary to popular belief, the monks do not make a vow of silence when entering the abbey. They do practice silence during the night and in many places during the day to have more freedom for personal meditation and prayer. They make solemn vows of obedience, stability in the community, and fidelity to the monastic way of life that includes poverty and chastity. They hold to the saying, "All of us are brothers. Some of us are priests." Throughout the year, the brothers celebrate special liturgical occasions with the greater community.
When the true Lamb is slain, with whose blood the doorposts are hallowed, accept us
It's a great act of faith when you're a young man to make a vow of commitment to this way of life for life unto death. And you don't know what the future is going to bring, and you are scared about that. And there's a fear that, can I really do it? The only thing that gives you courage that it's possible is to see the elder monks who have done it. And if they can, maybe you can too.
Well, I think the joy and the blessing is realizing that there is within you a mystery, and that's the mystery of your image of God and what that means. And reflecting on that gives a whole new meaning to life, I think.
What I would encourage people if they're discerning is come and see. Those are the words of Christ, even to his disciples, come and see. You'll find out really quick. I think for most people, you either come and you get agitated real quick and you leave, or you find it's like a fish being dropped into a bowl of water and you just swim.